I don't know the details, I would say, but, maybe it's not good.
Right. Well, any other questions, concerns about item 1? We're all in good shape on that, so we just proceed.
Yes, we've done we will do what we are required to do, and the clerk is already doing what she is required to do.
Okay, are we good now? All right, item number 2, early vote sites.
So a lot of these we've already discussed, and so we actually need to, if we're gonna make a decision, we need to make a decision today. I don't know if you wanna vote on them individually, we wanna just go through them and then vote collectively. So I have like a little spreadsheet that shows you the dates and everything of when they will be open.
Only a minute. There you go.
Welcome.
And then also, I've included a copy of what the notice of election would be like as well with that information. But our best, we will remain in the visitors locker room. We will just set up in a different pattern. It will give us enough space to social distance. It will have the limited hours that we've always had at our best, but it still seems to pull as many voters as some of our other sites. That would be, I believe it's 9:30 to 4:30 every day, and then on the Fridays, it has the shortened hours to 2:30 and then 1:30. The Springdale Civic Center is available for us. Do you guys want to vote as a whole or individual?
Let's make one motion.
I was gonna say, let's just vote as a whole and get it done. I don't know how you guys want to handle it, but to me, we talked through all these
Discussed
other
it.
than,
Yeah.
other than the couple that you were still firm up details on the last time.
And I mean, if there are no hiccups with any of that,
Do the whole
Do them
thing, all of it.
yeah.
So Springdale Civic Center, we would be able to be in there 6 days a week for the 2 weeks, Monday through Saturday for the 2 weeks of early voting. Would not be open the Monday before the election. I've included still on here Rodeo Community Center, but I spoke with the Rodeo Community Center this morning. They are firm still on requesting the payment. So that would be one that if we don't want to use, we can just strike from this list as an early vote site.
okay, it's not on this. So
It's
you've
not on
already
this.
sort of.
I can update the notice obviously if need be, but I did want to make sure that we, made that decision.
Should we do rodeo separately? No? Okay.
Just, we'll strike it from the
Let's
list.
just take it down from the list and
Yes.
Okay.
I also talked to Rick at the rodeo grounds. I said, we want to try and do it at the Civic Center. And if we need to, can we come back to you for future elections? I don't want to burn any bridges with any, they were our first early vote site.
Yeah.
And he said he didn't see any issues with that whatsoever. Medical Arts Pharmacy, that would just be Monday through Friday from the 8 until 6. You rework the flow pattern there to make sure that we can accommodate for the social distancing and for spacing inside of that location. The event center, which actually is called Diamond Dance Studio, it's on Weddington Drive. I did talk with Matthias Properties about the locations, maybe in that Harps parking lot. They were not able to rent or to even let us use any of those facilities in there. They had certain regulations, what can be, can't be in there. And so they said that would not be possible for us to use. So this is our best option on Weddington since we can't be a Boys and Girls Club for this. We will put signs where Rupel and Weddington, where people normally turn to go to Boys and Girls Club. We'll put a sign there to just kind of keep going. We'll also post signs, obviously, at Boys and Girls Club to come down to the event center. quorum courtroom, we've actually reworked how we're gonna do the quorum courtroom to be able to accommodate almost the same number of machines. We're actually gonna flip how we set up the quorum courtroom. We'll take them into the building and down the hall by the assessor's office, and down that separate hallway into the quorum courtroom. The horseshoe will now be where they check in the middle of the horseshoe. They'll wait in line for the express votes on the outside of the horseshoe, and then we'll be able to put at least, we think, 12, definitely, maybe even more machines in the back part of the quorum courtroom where the normal seats are. And then they just exit outside the building. We think that that plan will be sufficient to get the voters through the quorum courtroom.
That's great.
It will be the only location that is open the full 2 weeks and the Monday before the election, because the county clerk's office will not be open for early vote because of absentees. Elkins Community Center will be open for the 2 weeks. The first Saturday, it will also be open as well. The same thing with Prairie Grove Fire Station and Westport Community Center be open for the 2 weeks and the first Saturday, which is what we've typically always done. Those will be our standard sites that we have open for the majority of early voting. And then I don't know if you want to take limited early voting separately. Let's do that separately.
Or just do them all at once, because they're part of the notice,
Well,
really both sides.
do we, all right, well, let's determine here, do you have any hiccups in these 5 limited early voting things, or anything you want to tell us about?
All right. So Rise Physical Therapy would be able to be open the first week of early voting, the Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, which gives us an early vote location on the other side of Fayetteville, and it gives us a Saturday next to the Walmart. So I think it's a great solution. The next one is Bud Walton. I spoke with the university yesterday, had a conversation. We actually went to visit Bud Walton as well on Monday to try and look at where we would be. You've got in front of you kind of a map of where it would be. So Bud Walton would also be open the first week of early voting, the Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. Parking, which has always been a concern at the university. They will not set aside a space for us, but what they will do is the lots that I have here, and there's some that aren't even shown on this map, but the lots closest, which is lot 60, lot 62, and lot 56B, will be available for any voters in Washington County. They're not going to be ticketing these lots. When we were there during the middle of the week, there were spaces inside those lots. We would just need to post a sign basically saying early vote parking here, early vote parking in the different lots. They won't have to worry about having to have a visitor's pass or anything like that. Basically, the university just won't be driving through there looking to ticket anyone in those areas. There's sufficient ADA parking as well in that lot 60 to be able to accommodate us for our ADA needs. And then we would use that west entrance, and we would basically there's 2 double doors. So one would be an entrance. We would take and have the voters wait down the concourse on the one side. After they're checked in, they would vote on the other side, use the DS200 and exit out the second set of doors. There's plenty of space for us there. We would be able to set up the machines. And then at night, if we needed to, we would be able to lock up the DS200 and the tablets and then shut down the express votes to make sure that they're secure, because it is kind of an open space, but they would have a space for us to be able to accommodate that.
We're not gonna get to use the basketball court.
We're not, no.
Kidding.
They were actually relieved that I wasn't asking for the
You
basketball
didn't
court.
make me ask.
If we had thought about using it as an election day site, it might have made more sense to make that ask for the basketball court. but it actually made it easier
Sure.
that we were just doing it for the limited time and the limited space, for us to be able to go and just use the concourse. But yes.
Okay, now, my question, buddy, so we're, what's the situation right now? Students, they're in school, correct?
The students are in school, so there's a couple of things. There's also a letter on the back from Mary Skinner, who's Director of Office of Student Activities. She's been really wonderful to work with. One of the things that we did ask in the meeting was obviously the mask, the University of obviously is requiring masks to be worn, but for voting purposes, voters are not required to wear a mask. They're willing to waive that for us to be able to be in Bud Walton, the voters. The other one was because as soon as we had our first Zoom meeting with the university, it seemed like almost the next day the university kind of went back on like not total lockdown, but no extra activities. So I was like, oh, what does that mean for us for voting? There is a comment in here that they would be willing to move forward with early voting, even if there is a suspension of on-campus events.
Frankly, that maybe make it easier if they went all virtual, they wouldn't be any students on campus. I mean, if there was some sort of scenario like that,
Right.
parking and the whole rest of it would be easy.
And I think, Max, that's a good point, without a doubt. I think that when you look at the parking available to us, there will be ample parking there for Edinburgh traffic. Encourage that.
Completely agree, these are huge parking lots, and they're right there by the
That
entrance.
one there, that's good. 256B is not lot 60.
16,
Right
yes.
there, the concession center in the Walton Arena area is what draws all the attention to the day. Now, the nighttime you get the ball games, but during the working day, going into the Razorback shop is it. And I don't even know if it's open. Is it open?
It's not, there isn't anything open in Bud Walton.
Different entrance and it's.
Yeah.
So, weird, that's great. Now, in your conversation, how did you approach it with them, or did they ask about ongoing continuing potential of that being a site for the future?
I think the university, I definitely think that this is something, I didn't specifically ask that question, but I know the university has really looked at having an early vote or some type of voting on campus for many, many years. And I do think that going forward, this definitely is something that we can build on and hopefully have access. Bud Walton has been our best option that we've ever been presented with from the university. And the fact that we're willing to kind of do the limited, that flexibility with doing the limited early voting made it easy for them to schedule, because this is the opposite weekend of a football game. So there's not a football game. And like Bill, you're talking about the parking on Saturdays, which would be, maybe Fridays might anticipate more students voting, but Saturday, maybe the public might be more interested in going to Bud Walton than voting here at the courthouse. And that parking lot will be, really easy access for anyone to be able to park in. I think that this is definitely buildable for the future, especially if it's successful. If we see a large number of voters who cast their ballots there.
I feel like it's important to take the pressure off the courthouse, since we've got fewer machines than we've ever had in the courtroom before. And I think a limited early vote is the right way to give it a try here and to see. And if it goes well, I mean, maybe we think about the future. If it doesn't, we can reevaluate then. But it seems like a good way that we have the potential to do that, but to try it out.
I guess my big concern is this is not limited access. We will not have any control over who comes through that door and who goes out, correct?
Correct, but for Bud Walton on the day of voting, I don't anticipate that there's other activities going on in Bud Walton. So it would be the same at any of our other locations. They did talk about the possibility if there was basketball practice, but that would be in down on the floor, not where we're voting. There's only limited staff that's there. Students don't just come out and hang out there. So really the only people that would be coming to the area that we're at would be coming there specifically to vote. Because of the way I think we're setting it up, there's no classes in there, like I said, the
Just
basketball.
come and go in that building.
Well, and that's what I'm wondering about too.
It's completely
No.
locked up.
It's a pretty,
Okay.
It's
it's secure facility.
And that's my concern is the security. I don't want to see any,
You're gonna get less through traffic there than medical arts or any other place, or the courthouse or anywhere else,
yeah,
because there's nothing else going on.
right.
I think there's huge questions whether they're even gonna have a basketball season. That's not conflicted with us, but I think
Yeah.
there's a big question there, right?
But it is a secure building, and the fact that, like for us to even go into the building, we had to go with someone with a key card to get in. So it's not like an open, like if you were to go
Right,
to
okay.
Old Main, that's an open building.
Right.
And anyone can just go into Old Main.
Yeah.
But Walton is not set up like that. And that was one of the questions I did ask, because I knew we would be set up in that concourse, and it is kind of an open area. At night, we will have our own secure room that we can lock up the DS200 and the tablet. We'll be able to shut the express boats down in such a way that they're not accessible.
Nobody can tamper with it.
Exactly, so we will be able to secure everything at night, and then I would suspect the only people in the building at night would be the same as any other sites, like here, like janitors or someone like that, but our things would be locked up. And we would just ask that would not be clean, that type of thing, just like we do at any of our other sites.
What else?
I think that this is our best opportunity to have voting here at Bud Walton. It'll be easy for us to advertise, that it's there, and it'll give us an idea if we do see a voter turnout there from the
Right,
students.
right.
What's the next location?
The next location would be Elmdale Baptist Church, which we opened for the primary. That would be the second week of early voting. That would be the Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, which gives us more opportunity to vote in Springdale. And then I'm gonna skip and do Lincoln Community Center, which would be the second week of early voting. That would be October the 29th and 30th. That would just be Thursday and Friday. I've thrown the town center in here because this was a late minute email, kind of phone call when I was prepping all of this that I received from the town center. They are looking to offer the town center for us as limited. Actually met with them to go to the town center to actually view it and see if it's something we're interested in. We would not need to vote on the town center today. It would be something, if we wanted to do it after I've done a walkthrough, we could add at that October 1st meeting, would be well within the 30 days. They would be available for us for the second week of early voting, but we would want to maybe do it like Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, Thursday, because then the equipment starts going out to the other sites.
Seems like it'd be a good way to take, and who knows if it'll even work out. Seems like we don't know a lot of info at this point, but a good way to take some pressure off the courthouse, like that second, I don't know if you can do it that second weekend. Second week of early voting is always the busiest. And the courthouse has always been so busy, the busiest location in the past. And whatever you do to take the pressure off, it seems good. So I agree, it doesn't seem like we need to vote on that today.
I would like for you to walk through and determine how many machines you need there, or how many would be appropriate, and just get a scope on it, because that sort of struck me.
It did me too. I have a meeting with them tomorrow at 10, so I'm gonna go do a walkthrough with them. They would also open up the parking to be free to anyone to park in the parking deck at the town, in the garage on the days that it would be open for early vote. At first she offered me the big giant ballroom, but I was like, we did limited early voting, we wouldn't necessarily need that big of a space. For an election day site, it would be interesting, but I don't have enough machines to open up any more election day sites, and it's in such close proximity to Central and Genesis and Yvonne and saying that it doesn't make sense, but like Max was saying, maybe to take pressure off the courthouse, it might be worth pursuing. That's why I put it on the list. I don't expect us to vote on it today. It is not included in the notice because I don't have enough information I don't even know what days they would be available for us, for that. So you wouldn't be voting on the town center necessarily. I just wanted to give you that is another opportunity that I am pursuing for us.
Good deal.
Well, I think that you're gonna have to really promote those two locations, the university and town center, that we're gonna put out participation, especially the first year or two.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree, because it's not, neither of those are drive by locations.
Exactly,
With any
yeah.
location that's not drive
Well,
by.
COVID-19, the way it is, the university, what they're dealing with up there is student population. We don't know what's gonna happen we have the election. So we didn't even know how many students making advantage of that location. I think it's a great opportunity for us to begin to test that market, so to speak. But I don't think our expectations need to be too great.
I agree, because it's a totally different atmosphere, and there's no telling what it's gonna be like on campus or anywhere by late October.
Yeah.
How many folks are gonna be there, but, I think it's a great location, especially both of those. I mean, the big thing, I think, is they've got tall ceilings, they've got big space, there's plenty of space to spread out. It's not a limited, facility in terms of room, so. I think these are good. But, I mean, we've talked about most of them, we've talked about basically all of them before we decided the town center. I'll make a motion to approve all of the early vote locations on the notice of election, for the dates and times specified. And I'll note that the town center and the rodeo are not on there, so.
Well, now the rodeo is at the bottom. Oh, that's for election day.
That's closures.
Oh,
Yeah, we'll get to that.
yellow is the closures. Okay, gotcha. Okay.
I would suggest as a thing, suggesting that those are limited early vote sites in there as well, and we're gonna pick and choose the ones that.
Oh, sure, I meant to include all of you on the notice of election. So, I'll clarify my motion is to approve all of the early vote sites and limited off-site early vote sites, listed on the notice of election.
It's there for flexibility.
All right, so we have a motion and a second. And you've got the notice.
You have one, just so you would have it to look at. I have the one that we will sign once we go over everything.
Okay.
That's in
All
that.
right, well, let's go ahead and vote on that, on the early voting and not doing election day.
We're not doing election day yet.
Just the early voting, okay. To accept them as shown on the early voting sheet. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? We're ready to go on it.
Great. Well, we'll just come back and talk about the town center before the timeline.
That's what I
Flesh out the
figured.
details, yeah.
Yeah.
But that's an issue that can be handled.
We can do that before October 5th. That's our date, right?
That's our date, and I feel like if we add anything, that's just a bonus.
Sure.
If we take something away, that's different, but if we're adding something, that's just a bonus. So yes, but I did want you to be aware that that is something I'm pursuing.
Okay, yeah, well, that's good to know. Okay, so that's early vote. Now let's go on to election day.
So we will, Mount Comfort Church of Christ is available for us. It will replace Shiloh Community Church on Mount Comfort Road. It is a site that we were in previously. This space in there is twice the amount of space that we had at Shiloh. That area just continues to grow. So this is definitely a positive move for us at Mount Comfort. Johnson Church of Christ, that will replace the Johnson City Hall. Johnson City Hall, where you walk in and the desk is, it's not even 6 feet.
It's awful.
I spoke to the mayor at the city hall to talk to him about the fact that we would need to look at an alternative for Johnson City. The one catch with the Church of Christ is the space where we would be voting is great. We have all the space we need to spread out. But the ADA part of it is we're basically gonna have to set up an ADA space. So they have a basement basically, and there is a ramp that is not ADA compliant. That is where the bulk of the voters will go. We're allowed to have an alternative entrance for ADA into buildings. But what we're going to do, because they're wanting to keep us in one portion of the church rather than have us all over the church. The ADA site, which is where the fellowship hall is flat. It has the doors, it's everything we need, but we can't vote up there. But they are willing to let us set up basically an ADA station up there. So we would have, so anyone who has to use the ADA entrance would be able to just use that entrance, vote right there, and then leave. So basically, it's just, it gives us the compromise of having a new space with plenty of spacing, but also makes it ADA compliant too. We will have enough poll workers to be, because basically we just set 2 people up there. We could run that in accordance to what we needed to. So yeah, so that would be that's the one compromise we need to make at the Johnson
They don't want us all
Church.
to be in the fellowship hall.
They really are trying to limit the space like where we're at. A lot of the polling places that we've talked to have concerns about us being there. Restrooms, a lot of them are like, are you gonna open up the restrooms to the public? And no, we're not, because that's just one more place that they would have to clean with large numbers of people. I mean, that doesn't mean our poll workers can't use the restrooms, but there's certain places we're gonna be blocking off that no public will be. So, but I do think that otherwise we wouldn't be able to open up Johnson City Hall. It's not big enough. The next one would be the Assembly of God in Winslow. This would replace the Boston Mountain Fire Station. Ignore Brentwood, we're still gonna be able to keep Brentwood open. Boston Mountain Fire Station has space, but the Assembly of God Church in Winslow has much more space in it for us to be able to social distance properly. So we will make that move in Winslow. We'll communicate that with the city of Winslow as well. The same thing with the city of Johnson. I talked to the city of Johnson as well. They're going to help us in their newsletter, their Facebook, their community letter, everything that they put out. They're going to let the voters know of the change. The same thing with the city of Winslow as well. Yvonne Richardson Center, we will still obviously keep open. We will have a new supervisor there. Weddington Fire Station, I thought we might not be able to keep it open, but I talked to some people in that community and they spread the word. The voters in Washington County has been unreal. We have so many poll worker applications. I have more poll workers than I have spots to fill. That has never happened to
No
us
kidding,
before.
you
It's
have more
amazing.
than applicants. That's-
But we
I mean,
want to
that's
keep
awesome.
them.
We do, yes. And so
Yeah, hire them, let's
We-
get them in there.
we're
Make it
doing our
spots.
best. We're doing our best.
Yeah,
We just don't want to turn anybody
Oh.
away.
I agree.
So they put the word out in the community, and within the day, I had 3 people from the community call and want to work. So we'll be able to keep Weddington Fire open. The same thing with Wheeler, we're having to fill it with some new places. Trinity Methodist, these were some that we've talked about, we thought we might have to close, but Trinity Methodist will have enough. I spoke with the principal at Archer. They are still willing to let us be at Archer. They're actually going to let it be a virtual day for the students, so we would, in essence, have
That's
have
awesome.
it, yes, and that was one of the concerns,
Yeah.
was that the students would be there and just that overexposure, you know, the fewer people we have in the building, the better off we are.
Yeah.
So they want us to be able to use the site, they're willing to have it as a virtual day, so the students won't be there.
What a model for other schools.
Yeah,
I'm
I
just
mean-
gonna say, what a model, you know, Archer, I mean, seriously,
Yeah.
going to a virtual day so we can use their gym
Yeah.
as a polling location. I mean, that may be something we wanna make the ask for other schools in the future. I think it's a great idea.
So they're definitely willing to do that. Now, of course, if there's any of the students that wanted to sign up to be part of the poll worker program, they're still willing to do that too. I'll work with the principal on that as we go closer to the election. So all in all, the only sites that we actually, like, where we're actually losing the site and we're not replacing it would be the Durham Community Center. We're going to move those 3 poll workers out to Elkins. The Christian Life Cathedral, but I think that us opening up that gym at Trinity Fellowship is a great move for us. I mean, there's so much space in there. And then Turner, which was Epic Church, we've always just called it Turner. Since we're moving to the Civic Center, that's a move. And that's the other thing, I guess I forgot to put Rodeo on here. Rodeo, we would be replacing the Rodeo Community Center with the Springdale Civic Center. So basically, your election day vote centers list all the ones that we're opening, and then I also have the ones we're closing, which also includes ones that we closed for the primary election as well, because maybe there's voters who didn't vote in the primary. So there maybe weren't aware, for instance, we closed Cross Church and we closed Blackburn, we closed Goshen Community. So those are reflected in this notice as well, just to kind of give a heads up to the voters who maybe didn't vote in the primary. Also at the Springdale Rec Center, or Springdale Civic Center, also spoke to the Springdale Civic Center. The day of the election will be the only activity in the Springdale Civic Center as well.
That's great.
Yeah.
So the election day vote centers list here is the complete list of the locations that will be open, with the exception that we need to strike Rodeo.
Now, Rodeo is not on, I took it off the election day vote centers. That list on that last page, those are the ones we're closing.
Okay.
Oh, I didn't see the header. It
Yeah,
looked
that's
like it
what
was
I
a
missed too.
continued,
Yeah.
It
Those
looked
are the
like it
ones-
just continued the list.
Yeah, those are the ones we're closing.
Okay, got it, that makes sense. Thank you for that clarification. Well, they look good to me. You guys good? You want to make it? Anyone have any questions?
One question, real quickly. How many total locations now do we have on election day?
What is it?
Just give me a
40.
ballpark.
It's either 42 or 43, which 45 is what we normally have. I mean, we only truly lost 3 sites.
We only consolidated.
Okay.
I mean, fantastic job, Jennifer, Debbie, the whole staff, really finding the locations and the poll workers, and only having to close 3 sites compared to, and some of those were strategic.
They're all small size, easy to accommodate.
Yeah.
You go over in those areas.
Exactly. Compared to other places in the country, I mean, that's just an incredible job. To be able to keep that many locations. Yeah, I think it's great.
Okay, so we need to vote on these. The sites that we're opening today is what we want.
Right, it would be the election day vote centers listed on the notice of
Yeah,
election.
are the sites that we want to open on the election.
I'll make a motion to approve the election day vote centers listed on the notice of election to open as election day vote centers on election day.
Second that motion.
All right, we have a motion and a second to open election day vote centers listed on the second page of the notice. All in favor?
Aye.
None opposed. The motion carries. And we'll have to sign those, correct?
Yes.
Okay. S&P canvassing hours, oh, goody. This is starting to get close and real, isn't it?
It is. I have us starting canvassing not the Monday, not October the 19th, because that's the first day of the early vote. I would rather get that day out of the way and make sure that everything is good and up and going. And so the first day we would actually canvass would be October the 20th. The first week we would do 9 to 4. Then the second week we would do 9 to 4. That would be 5 days. And then Monday we would do 9 to 4. And then on November the 3rd, it would be 9 to finish. we, at the rate we're going right now, this gives us enough time to be able to canvass the absentee ballots that we should have for the election.
What's the count right now?
She's a little close to 7,000. So yeah, so I anticipate we'll be at around 10,000 and maybe 11,000 absentee ballots. And I've been fortunate, amazing, the voters in Washington County. I've been recruiting people who live in the same household to be canvassers because this is the only time I can't social distance. Because they have to sit next to one another to look at the paperwork. So where I can, I have been trying to recruit people living in the same household because that limits their exposure. They're not having to sit next to someone they don't know for 8 hours a day for 2 weeks. Instead, they'll sit by their spouse or, family friend. I'm hoping to get 10 teams of 2. So yeah. So, and I'll have some that don't fall into that category, but where I can, I think I have like 4 or 5 teams, like people living in the same household. So, I just
Physically,
limiting,
physically, where you're gonna check.
they will be over at the judicial annex, which is the terminal building. The emergency planning will let us use a space in there where we have 12 tables. They're smaller tables. They'll work in teams of 2. They'll have their own set of everything. So they'll have their own stapler, their own, everything. And so it will be over there. I'll work with IT to live stream that as well. One of the things that the state board did caution us is if poll watchers did want to attend in person, we really should make sure that they can attend in person. I'm hoping that we don't have poll watchers who want to come and watch, that they can live stream it, they can watch us, what we're doing. But we would have to accommodate that. And so we would hope that if the parties are wanting to send poll watchers, they would at least just send one, not multiples, because you could have a poll watcher, you can have a poll watcher for every candidate, for every issue, and then the party, and it would just be, we wouldn't have space. So yeah, so.
Okay. Any thoughts on that? Questions? All right, let's move.
You contemplated equipment needs, of course, you don't have that problem.
For the absentees, basically, we've set up a little system that we'll have, they're just gonna need letter openers, pens, and just that kind of basic.
Did you
things.
have a chance to look for an automated letter opener?
I haven't, I will do that, I'll add that to things to look at, but, we'll see. Because we can't do that until election day, so yeah, but I will look to see.
But I mean, I was thinking DFI mail or, what's the other one locally?
Melco. Melco has already offered us anything that we might
Okay.
possibly need.
Check with them. I really think if we could do that, just temporarily borrow it. I mean, they have to deliver it. I wouldn't want to take all of the balance over to them.
No, we wouldn't
But,
want to either.
I think that may be a desirable, and I don't think it's an expense that we need to spend. I think they're about $800 is what I've seen. And there may be smaller ones, but that's a machine that would get it done quickly.
I will definitely contact Melco because I needed to contact them anyway. They're offering to let us use the trays. They're willing to bring in they have these cages basically where we can put all the paperwork in and we can lock it up so that we're not having to stuff it back in ballot boxes and different things like that so we can keep it secure. But I had already talked to them about different needs that we might have, and they were definitely willing to let us borrow and deliver. He even said he would deliver the things to us that we would need. So I'll reach back out to Melco. They've been really supportive too.
Sign notice of election. I'm ready to do that.
I think so. I think we have covered everything we had our notice open if we needed to make any changes, for it, but it includes all the contested races, everything that's gonna be on the ballot, and all the special elections and everything. Of course, this will get published on our website, but it's kind of published, it won't look like this. We'll break it down to publish it, and then of course.
Plus, you'll also have the PDFs for each polling site.
Yes, they'll have that, but we'll do the, what we post online, we'll have the Google Map links, so, and all of that, we'll work on getting all of that published on the website. So,
Point of interest, if you don't mind.
go ahead.
Jennifer, it may be time for the commission to start promoting early votes in our communities with the location changes that we have incurred so far, especially with Springdale and Toledo, that are not being part of the equation this year, and with the University of Arkansas basketball arena. And there are 2 or 3 things that you may want to contact your media groups and let them start at least talking about that. I think that they move our community, move us to notify our community, if you will, through their sources here. They've done such a great job in years past, helping us with the early vote. The early vote is so critical to us in these major elections, especially for the election, that it really takes pressure off. Just a suggestion.
Well, I would suggest that now that we have a Facebook page, put this on here and even put it, I don't know how that works, but post it every Monday until election day, as a way for it to, get into people's consciousness. I know I found that somewhere on Facebook or wherever else, but what I would do is do the early voting separately from the limited off-site early vote, so that you have 2 separate posts, and you could focus on those each Monday, so it doubles your impact, I hope.
I mean, I'd say just get the word out however you can.
Yeah,
I agree with you
yeah,
guys.
exactly.
It's important to get the word out, and heck, I don't want to send you on a media blitz here, but you might email your whole press group. And I know you have a lot going on, but say, hey, I'm available for interviews. I'd love to talk about this stuff. I'd love to get on the air and talk about the early vote locations, and encourage voters to make a plan, make an early vote plan, which day, which location, where are you going, go as a family, exactly. Have an accountability buddy. It doesn't have to just be for running, you can have it, vote, whatever you want to do, make a plan. But I agree about getting the word out.
I noticed you don't have votewashco.com on here.
I do in other places.
Okay.
Like I said, this is the notice that you sign that makes
Right.
it official.
Right.
I then take this apart, and when I post it on the website, there's an early vote. So like that's just the early vote site, and then there's a link that's just the election day site. The same thing with the sample ballots, the same thing with all of that. This is what gets published in the paper and what gets filed, but when we post it, I break it up, and we'll have all of that on there.
It's time to be a media person. Because we gotta get this info out and get it plastered everywhere.
And that website, again, like you said, Renee, was votewashco.com for anyone listening. Share that with your networks.
That's exactly why I said that. And it might not be a bad idea for people who have a cell phone, that would be hardly anybody, right? To know votewashco.com.
I agree. Votewashco.com. It's easy to say. It's easy to remember.
But this is the time for shameless publicity.
I agree.
Okay, well, let's sign the notice of election.
And you can.
All right. And then I will work on getting all of that published and posted on our website. And VoterView, I don't know if you've been to VoterView too. VoterView has changed too. In the past, VoterView just showed the site you were assigned, but now VoterView shows every early vote site. It shows every election day site too. So voters, when they go to VoterView, not only will they be able to see their sample ballot, but they'll be able to see all the locations open on election day and all the locations open for early vote. So since VoterView kind of revamped, it's much more, it works better with our program than it does, than it used to in the past.
Have you checked the links that it shows to make sure that?
Yes, we updated those.
Perfect.
We did that and then, to make sure that that all worked. So, yeah.
Super. Thank you. I know you guys have been working your kind of.
It's like a beehive right here. Most of it
Yeah, for sure.
should be any other day.
Oh,
Full of folks doing
well,
lots
all
of
that
things.
training, yeah. Okay, election day night procedures. This is where the rubber meets the road.
Yes, so election day, we'll actually, that Tuesday for absentee ballots, we'll actually be back here. And we won't be, because we won't have early voting here. So we'll actually be here in the forum courtroom canvassing the absentee ballots, up there. We can start feeding ballots into the machines at 9 o'clock. We'll have the 450 up there. I've got someone that I'm training right now, to be able to run the 450. That would be able to be here that morning, and then Patty would be able to be here. I need to get Patty in and get Patty trained to run it in the evening, so that the 450 can run. But we'll also have DS200s up there as well, so we can be feeding the ballots into the DS200. It took about an hour for me to count 3,600 paper ballots. Those were our test deck. Those were nice, flat, not folded ballots. So it took an hour to count about 3,600 ballots. So if we stay within the 10,000 ballot range, I would anticipate hopefully we could get everything counted that night. The big question is how long will it take us to get them out of the envelopes and flattened before we can start running them through the machine? But we'll have, not only will have the absentee crew being able to pull them out and do that, but I'll also have a full crew election night. Patty's crew basically will be able to come in that night at 5 and finish maybe where we're at from the absentee canvassers. So, we will start counting at like I said, at 9 for that, when we can.
There's no order in which these ballots are counted. They're just counted as they came in, so to speak. Or have you got 5,000, then all the
So the canvassing part, so the way we'll do the canvassing, as the absentee ballots come into the county clerk's office and she receives them, we'll actually match the voter application to the voter statement. So we're not having to go through and alphabetize. Those two things will already be put together. So when our canvassers are working during the 2 weeks, we're going to work in bundles of 50. I always feel like if you're going to make a mistake, it's easier to find the mistake in smaller numbers than let's just count 10,000 and then figure out where the mistake was.
Yeah.
So we will work in bundles of 50. So basically when the ballots themselves that remain in those ballot only envelopes will be kind of in bundles of 50. And we'll verify that I have 50 voter statements and 50 ballot only envelopes, and then we'll be able to put those up. So ideally on election day, we can just take those bundles of 50, open them, run a bundle of 50 through, open another, run a bundle of 50 through, and that would be the plan. And then, but that also will let us run 50 through a DS200 and 50 through, we can have 6 DS200 set up there. So we can be doing that, but
okay, at the time you start the process at 9 o'clock on election day, how many people are you gonna have on that crew that's doing nothing but that?
so
We'll have to have crew that's still canvassing whatever ballots come in election day, and that
But
Monday
they will be
before.
here and not over
They
there.
will, everybody will be here.
Okay.
So we'll have the crew of 20, basically.
Okay, but those are two separate crews. One opening and
Canvassing.
canvassing,
The idea,
and the other's counting.
okay, the idea is that hopefully we will have processed the largest number of absentee ballots that I can split the crew in half. And one could be opening and canvassing if we still have some that remain, and the other can start feeding ballots into the machine.
The reason I asked the question, Jennifer, is if the load is larger for whatever reason than we anticipated, and we're running short on time in the first day, to get them all counted, our hope is get them all done in the first day. Yeah, whatever it takes, 10, 11 hours, whatever it takes, get that. But if we're running short, what's plan B to help that process on? Do we add more machines and 6 more people, or how do you do it?
So we can't add more DS200s. The DS200s will be out of the field. So we'll have the 6 DS200s that we won't have out in the polling locations. Plus we have the 450. Part of the problem is if you throw too many people in it, you're gonna make mistakes.
But if you run first team too long, you get
You're
seniors.
also gonna
So-
have that, yeah.
So I do have 2 teams coming in. So when I said Patty's team will just be coming in that evening at 5 to just count.
Fresh,
Right.
and do nothing but count.
Then you've got the crew that was there the day, they'll be canvassing and counting during the day. But I think Patty's crew has 5 people in it, 5 or 6 people in her crew. And there's 6 DS200s and 1 450, so we'll be able to run those.
How many people, to Bill's question here, how many people are you gonna have lined up at those 6 DS200s and 450 ready to start opening envelopes and running them through at 9 a.m. that morning?
So at 9 a.m., my goal will be to have the 20 people that we had canvassing. Okay? If I get too many more people in there, it's too many people in the quorum courtroom. And it's too many people trying to figure out what the people are supposed to be doing.
It's chaos.
Yeah, and then I think we have to be strategic about how we run the ballots through and do it.
Well, my concerns, and they're really not concerns, but my thoughts are, is if you start counting at 9 o'clock, you got your 20 people involved in the process, whatever they're doing. But you start counting at 9 o'clock that morning. What are you gonna do at 6 o'clock at night? And you still need to run another 2 or 3 or 4 hours. You got the 5 people coming in, 5 or 6 people coming in, Patty's team. But you don't have, unless you plan early on, you don't have anyone to come in to support that team that's been on the floor 9 hours or 10 hours.
Okay,
or 12
so,
hours.
but that team's goal is to make sure that all the ballots have been canvassed. Okay, that's,
And open,
yes, that's the goal, is to make sure that that team has all of them canvassed. But the goal honestly is, okay, one, if Becky, we're doing the curbside delivery every Saturday in October. So hopefully that means a big bulk of our ballots are actually gonna come back on those Saturdays, and we're not waiting for them to come in the mail. We should have everything canvassed that's been back in Becky's office by Monday afternoon.
That's the best case scenario.
Right, and the only thing we're having to canvass would be the ballots that come in on Tuesday. So my crew would be able to split in 2. One could be opening and running through, and the other could be canvassing the ballots that have come back on Tuesday.
I think to Bill's point, and I think it's a good one, is you should have some folks lined up as backup
Backup.
people that you can call if the numbers are such that you need help. you should have a group of 5 folks you could call and say, hey, get in here right now, I need your help.
And we should be able to do that. We're putting people on a wait list, basically, is what we're doing. We're over hiring poll workers to be able to do that. But we will know 2 weeks before the election, approximately the number of absentee ballots we have, so it's not going to be a big surprise to us, the numbers. And as the first week of canvassing goes, we may be able to have almost all of them done. And the second week, we're just waiting for those batches to come in the mail. But that'll be something we'll gauge throughout the week and then be able to make a plan. So I see where you're saying have extra people in mind, but I honestly, our goal is to be that Tuesday is just canvass whichever ballots come in the mail, and then the team is just opening, be ready to go, and feeding them in.
And that's the slower part of the equation, so you canvass together.
Right.
The counting part's pretty simple.
Right, but see, we'll have all the canvassing done, except for the ballots that come in on Tuesday in the mail.
But you're still talking, you're talking about counting, running one by one through a lot of these machines and ballots. If they're all folded up, we've had problems with 450 count that they stack. So I think Renee's question about the automatic machine to open the envelope is a great thing to look into if we can be sure. It's not going to cut the ballot.
Right.
But
Oh, yeah.
I think it's a great thing to look into, and I think I agree with Bill's question about this issue. If there's any way to get all ballots counted on election day, we want to do it. So we should be cranking through right at 9 a.m.
Well, best case scenario for us is to know where we are early on in the process.
And we'll have a pretty good idea by the end of the first week.
See, the way I figured, I figured 6, and I even did it not at my full 10, but I did 6 teams to canvass 40 ballots in an hour, or 40 ballots in an hour for 7 hours. And that gets me 12,000 absentee ballots in that 2 weeks. But I'm not even giving it full capacity. I think they can canvass more than 40. I plan on having more than 6 teams. And we'll be working, 8 hours a day and not 7. So when I calculated how many people I needed, I calculated us doing it slower than what I actually anticipated.
Well, then that's good, and the whole reason for this conversation, from my perspective, is that we're being proactive
Right.
in the whole process, and we're not going to be caught behind for some reason that we didn't anticipate. We look at all the variables, we prepared for those, then we're ahead of the game. The last thing that any of us want here in Washington County is to get caught up in the Arizona
Oh, my
and the
goodness.
Floridas and the et cetera, in all over the world when crunch times apply. We're not going to do that. You've done a great job all the way through, and I don't anticipate that will continue through the election cycle.
I agree.
And I like the idea of hiring and training sufficient numbers of folks and have some in the wings that should need them. They're all ready to go. I'm delighted that you're having the reception and that the community is supporting us fully. That's all very encouraging. And I know you and I have had some conversation in ways we all have in the past 3 or 4 weeks about numbers of poll workers we're losing and how tough it is to get poll workers and the response has been fabulous. So just, we're just touching bases to make sure that they're all covered and support you in whatever aspect that requires.
And I will. What is nice is that we'll have the canvassers, but then Patty's crew will be coming in that evening fresh to be able to just feed. Exactly. And we'll have 6 we'll have 6 DS200s that they can just be feeding them through. And the nice thing is, it's a one-page ballot. So
That's huge.
a good
Yeah.
someone who's good at it, you can actually run 2 DS200s at one time. Because it doesn't matter which DS200 they get read into. And so we're only limited by the DS200s in some ways. I mean, we have the 452, but for the DS200s, I know we'll have 6, we might have 7. I'll have to count and see. But we also want to be cautious of how much space we take up, and too many people can create mistakes.
Well, you think about your staff up there, I know you know who you have on that. Staff, 20 to start with. But giving them a break every now and then is not.
No,
well,
no. Yeah.
And that's why when I calculated them just doing 7 hours a day. And that we would start at 9 and we would end at 4.
That was one of the questions that you had here on the agenda today, is how long do they count?
So that is definitely something for us to think about, because if we do get past midnight, how long do we want to stay? Because at that point, it's not just that staff, but it's this staff that has been up since 5:30
And
and everyone. And so I do think that we need to collectively make a decision that obviously if we're like this many ballots left.
That's what I'm
and
thinking,
And
yeah.
it's like midnight, you like don't want to quit. But if you see that it's not that way, I do think that we definitely should look at that. I know that other counties are looking at that too, just because the later in the evening, the more likely you are to make a mistake because you are tired.
The later in the night.
In the night, right? The more likely you are to make a mistake. We hope that we'll be able to finish and have everything.
Get full results here early and absentee by 8 o'clock. That's what we're shooting for, right?
Yeah, if we can do
Yeah.
that, we're well on track,
Right?
I think.
If we can calculate in reverse order like you're doing, how many folks you need, how many machines we have, how many gallons we have, yeah, and have it
And how
done.
quickly they get back into
So
us.
we don't even have to address it. Yeah. But I think we don't know what the situation is gonna be. We're just gonna
It's
have
gotta
to
be
figure
in the
that
back of
out.
our minds,
I agree.
and we've got to be ready for it.
Yeah,
We'll think about it, but we can't decide that.
Right, right. Well, other thoughts on that?
No, but I definitely will make sure, Bill, that I have extra staff if I need it on hand. One of the nice things, I talked to the crew at Simple the other day, they remember for the general election in 2016, they were actually bored because so many people in this area had early voted. And she had 16 people down there and they had hardly any voters. So we definitely want people to early vote. That's definitely, that helps us on election day. And that frees up some more opportunities for us to pull staff in if we thought.
Yeah, if
needed
we
to.
find out that somebody's bored, we bring them to the courthouse.
Exactly. It gives us a little bit more flexibility in regards to that. And I do think their Fayetteville sites will be more impacted by absentees just because the largest number of absentee ballots that we've printed have been for the city of Fayetteville. So yeah, well over 3,000.
I'm good on that, but on this, can you post this on the website too, just like this? This to me is much more helpful.
Sure.
But
What
make
the
sure
early
you
vote
change
page
the
is,
date.
then.
Oh yeah, March 3rd. I can't do that yet.
Good catch. But to me, if I'm looking, this is much easier to read and plan when I'm gonna go vote than the notice.
Yeah,
Because I'm looking
yeah.
at the day and then
Right.
the date, and then I'm looking at what's over the.
right, but don't just post that one, post
Oh.
these other.
I will. But yeah, I agree. I can do something similar to this on the web.
Thank you, this is great.
Okay, let's move on. Runoff election.
Oh, here's the scary part. The same number of absentee ballots that went out for the city of Fayetteville will be the same number for the general, will be the same number that goes out for the runoff election. Because you automatically, when you sign up for an absentee ballot for the general, you get the general runoff.
For eligible voters.
Yeah, so but we have if we have a mayor's race,
It's everyone.
it would be the yeah.
So it's not the full number, but it's everybody.
Yeah, so, which is the biggest majority of the absentee ballots that we have processed, well over 3,000. Yeah, well over 3,000, so.
That'll be the highest turnout in a runoff municipal, if it happens. I mean, it'll set a record, right?
So this is the one I'm more concerned about us being able to canvass because we only have Tuesday, Wednesday, and Monday, because Thursday and Friday. This one is the one I'm much more concerned about, and we canvass all of those ballots. I mean, we will, but this one is such a short time frame. So I want us to just be aware that definitely is a concern that we have. Becky's also requested that for the runoff election, that we hold early vote in the courtroom.
So
And
she
not-
doesn't have to deal with it.
and not have early vote in the county clerk's office. So I need to confirm that the dates would be available for us to be able to do that. And I started working on the polling locations. The city of Springdale, I have a question about it. One of the candidates in the three-way race we had in the city of Springdale is moving out of that ward. So I need to figure out how that would impact the outcome of that race. And so that would change the polling locations, obviously, for the city of Springdale. We wouldn't have to have a runoff election in the city of Springdale, but I need to confirm that.
Which race is that?
It's, city of Springdale. Ward 4, position 2.
Oh, okay. I didn't realize your spreadsheet actually goes down instead of.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so we will deal with that. Upcoming meetings, October the 1st, poll worker notice. Let's see, we had a time on that, did we?
We did, but I need to figure out a different time for that. I have poll worker training at 8:30. So I don't know if we want to try and meet at 8 or if we want to meet that afternoon at.
That's a Thursday.
Yeah,
Just for you.
Yeah, so what's easiest for you?
either way works for me.
Only going to require a few minutes.
It should, because basically you're gonna sign the LA certificate, the poll worker notice, and you'll also have to sign the polling locations for the runoff elections. That's just a formality that would prevent us from having to open up every polling location, because we do vote centers. So there isn't anything on that agenda that should take us very long to do. So that's up to you if you want to meet at 8 or if you would rather meet at 4.
I mean, think about it, because if the town center did work out, we want to talk about that probably,
Yeah.
and whatever other issues, how it is before the
So
center.
4.
Yeah, I'm
Whatever
thinking.
you gotta finish up yours and
I have full worker training at 8:30, 10, 1, 2:30, so 4 is the,
All right,
then give us flexibility.
yeah,
Yeah,
I mean,
we don't need to be
just
rushed.
leave it at 4.
Sounds good.
Oh, okay. Okay,
works for me.
so we don't have any need to meet until October the 1st.
No, but I'm sure they'll be able to.
Yeah, that's what I'm
Yeah.
thinking.
I agree.
A lot of stuff going on right now.
Yeah,
There's a lot of
yeah.
stuff going on.
Okay, November the 3rd is election day, of course, and then provisional on November the 5th. Any other business?
I do have one, I'm looking into purchasing phones for election day.
Cell phone.
Cell phones, yes. So AT&T are the phones that we have, and the AT&T cell service was non-existent on the primary, which cost us grief.
Yeah.
AT&T phones, which is what the county has here, the landline, several times, even now, go out. So if you've ever tried to reach our office and you can't get through, most likely it's if you're calling from an AT&T phone, that's part of the reason why you can't get through. So I am looking, it probably will be around $1,100 to $1,200 just to get some new phones for us, because I'm going to buy I think our best plan is to purchase the phones and then get the little pay-as-you-go cards for us to use. Because right now we're grandfathered into this AT&T thing where we hardly pay anything for them. But when I look at the cost throughout the year, it's about $1,200. But I can purchase phones outright and then just get the little pay-as-you-go. So I'll be trading $1,200 going forward. I won't have to pay that anymore because I'll own the phones, and then we'll just buy the $30 cards for us to use, and then we can bill that obviously to whoever's holding elections when we need to. But that is an unexpected expense that I didn't think, and we have the money for it, but that is an unexpected expense that I didn't think we were gonna do. But I think it's prudent for us to do it. I don't want our coworkers out there with the AT&T phones and they're not working. We don't need to take that
And we
chance.
looked at Verizon.
Well, that's where yes, I'm working with Alicia. She handles the phones. It's just, she's been helping me figure out the best plan. We're doing like Verizon service, so yeah.
Fine with me.
You're making me feel real bad about AT&T.
It's all right, that's all right. That's what I got to, but for election day, I mean, the other day, I
No.
was calling somewhere and it didn't work.
We
I
can't,
mean,
we,
you know,
we just can't afford that.
It doesn't happen very often, but I agree, you can't.
But
afford it
it's
on
happened a
election day.
lot for the election office.
Well, it's the whole courthouse.
Oh, is it?
It is the whole courthouse. So even like Becky, every office is impacted when the AT&T phones go down. And so, if you're trying to call the courthouse, you can't get through, and that's part of the reason.
I'm fine with that.
Yeah, well, let's do I mean, since this is an expense, we probably should have a motion on that.
So move.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. All right,
Plus the cars.
yes, the cards.
All in favor.
That sounds like a perfect, resolution.
Yep.
Any other business?
Not that I can.
Nope.
Okay, we're adjourned.
Good job, everyone.
And be on call from now until October 1st in case we have another.
Right. Something will happen.
Yeah.
Don't say that.
It always does. Hey, I'm going on history here.
He's a pessimist.
Well, we always say that if we don't, every time we have to sometimes like redo LNA, if we don't have to redo LNA, then we worry, oh my gosh, so yeah.
All right, back to
right.
the office.
Have a good one.
Hey, take care, Max.
Are you,
Yeah,
Did you
it
say,
works.
Channel
It works
5?
so
He
much
did,
better.
I will be in WA though, it's
Yeah.
Fox 24, I'm not
So
sure.
I have to
Yeah,
think
that's what I was thinking.
maybe it
All
works.
right, you guys, do us a good job.
Absolutely.
Have the assistants up there.
You know the real, you know the drill and why.
Oh, yeah. That's important stuff. I'm glad
Well, you guys have always done such a nice job in that
So, and
regard,
I'm
and
gonna show.
and our early
Shannon
vote has
I've got
picked up
this
good
deck, I'm gonna
management.
Oh, yeah.
start running them.
And it
so
helps
she can
us
kinda
all.
get used to
Yeah.
it.
The
Yeah,
community at
yeah.
large.
And
You don't have to
yeah,
stand in
and then I'll
line,
show
that's
Patty
a nice day.
I'm interested to see what Bentonville's doing. That's usually my beat.
And then her goals
That's
will
why,
come in,
so I don't know.
they would be.
I'm sure they're taking steps like this, but
well.
it's always nice to see, kind of compare from cities and see what's going on. So
I know.
at a time like this.
Well, you know,
And then,
for years now, we've been the lead dog in the state in innovation and forward
just what
looking
my
and
numbers.
all of those
Yeah,
things.
like when I said.
We've got a great staff. And we've got a great group of
At
commissioners that,
16,
you know, get it.
Right.
And,
I feel like we should.
you may not know this, but you know, we've got a 12-county coalition up here that we put together the last 4 or 5
next
years.
Tuesday.
Yeah.
And that way I can
We
divide
make
it up,
quarter.
we can have one
Usually.
Tuesday, so we have envelopes.
And we all cooperate, we share, we support each other in so many ways.
It just be so like,
Or
everyone's
not.
at the 50,
Most of these
she would
guys
tell
get
them
their
that 53, and then.
election equipment and the training on
And the thing
it.
about
Our
it is,
staff is trained, especially the smaller counties. We don't have full staffs like we're
Right,
in.
and that's why.
But we've always been, or we in recent years have been, believe,
Because every time someone new comes in, I have to retrain you.
and it just so happens we're large enough, we're central enough up here. And it just works.
Right.
Not that
Right.
we're any smarter
They're
than
like,
anybody
hey, you know
else.
what you're doing,
We-
smoothly.
We all pull together,
I think that, I mean.
and bring everyone in.
Honestly, I think that
It's just working.
It was great that way.
Is
I went to school there.
open and zoom out and I even.
How long has it been here?
Well, I just went back to Seattle about 2.5 years ago. And then I grew up in Fayetteville.
Get them laid
High school
flat
there.
real quickly,
Yeah, all that.
so that we can put
Just moved
something
away.
heavy on them and make sure they,
Came back.
they can be a smooth run. I know she's
Smarter on your
Like
part.
little heavy
Yeah.
roller.
I know, something.
Yeah, it was-
No, I'm
it's fine.
thinking, one of those growers that they put out on the street.
My
Yeah.
dog's out there.
Just laying down in the floor, someone that's just their dog. It's
Yeah,
just-
yeah.
So,
Well,
and we
it's good to
did
have you
learn
back.
a trick too,
But
that
that's right.
where to fill in the little squares to
Oh,
get
We
them.
just can't help.
It showed us
We appreciate
and so,
Interesting.
what happened was, for that spring election, we were supposed to fill in the ones on the back, but we didn't think we had to because there wasn't anything on the back. So when Lex was here, Lex showed me, she said, no, you didn't on the back. And so she did it and they ran through, yeah.
Isn't that interesting?
But that makes sense because
It still got the tracking mark on
Yeah.
the back.
So, yeah, it's real interesting. Well, that's good to know.
Yeah,
You just
right.
feed those in and it takes them. So the 450 it'll just do its thing. But if we've got 6 people in front of the ES200, they can just be feeding ballots in all day. So I think I'm optimistic.
Oh, I am too, and I think our equipment is updated enough where it will.
Yeah.
go there.
Yeah.
And, the guys tweak it a little more.
They came and they got it all fixed for me. So yeah.
That's great.
Well, and the spray that I got to be trying to thing out.
Yeah.
Yes, for
Yeah.
sure.
We bring the fish equipment, deliver off the truck, they don't always work.
That's true. Yeah, yeah. Just breaking it in is a big part of our picture. So.
Yeah, that's great. We've got a lot of good people working. They're all volunteers. It's a Herculean, endeavor, but we're going to make it work.
I'll tell you what, I'm glad I'm not in, New York City or someplace. Yeah, are we still on?
Oh.
I guess we are.
We might be.
I think we are.
Jennifer, to talk for a
Sure.
couple minutes
Yes.
or an overview.
How do you turn this thing off? Did that?
Green light didn't go out.
Maybe on the computer.
Here.
There you
Oh, it's a little red thing over here where it shows up. Hang on.
go. Hang it.
Sooner or later, I can figure that thing out.
Okay, team.
Thanks for all your hard work.
You're welcome. And I will get this all posted as soon as I can, so probably in a couple of days I'll have everything posted and everything. I still gotta do the sample ballots too.
No vacation for you nowadays.
You know, I'm like, ah. Thank you, I will try. Oh,
Stay on
we did forget
TV.
to tell us, October 6th is our budget meeting. I'll send that.
Oh, you know, I was gonna ask you about that and I forgot.
October
Okay,
6th.
all right.
Yeah,
Well,
I'll
you
send
did
out,
that.
I'll send out an email.
Okay.
I don't know if it's gonna be in person or if it's gonna be virtual.
Oh,
I'll let you know
maybe
about that too.
virtual. Yeah,
So, yeah.
I'm going out that far to work.
Okay.
So
When
I'll
the
check
alarm
and
goes off.
see.
Cause it's gonna show green, and the only way you're going to know is when the alarm goes off.
Okay,
So,
all right,
just
well,
be prepared.
let's test it.
Take care now.
Where do you want me?
Just care if you.
Okay. You want me masked or not masked?
whatever you're comfortable with.
Either way.
Use this light on.
Okay.
Covered a lot of ground today.
We covered a lot of ground today. But at each of our meetings, we've been kind of slowly laying the groundwork so that when we do make our decisions, it kind of makes it easier. Yeah, we really do. I mean, they work really well together. And like I said, we build on each meeting, which I think makes it easier than when you try and come at something for the first time
Alright, starting.
and try and, yeah, so I feel like that definitely helps, especially making all the decisions about polling locations, so.
Okay, so you know the drill, you're just gonna look at me, go ahead and give me your first and last name, spell both in your title.
It's Jennifer Price, JENNIFER, Director of Elections, Washington County.
Okay, perfect. So we had the election commission meeting today. You guys are going on over a lot of issues. I think first on the agenda was early voting locations. Can you just kind of give us an overview of the news there?
Yeah, so the election commission voted today on which early vote sites will be open for the general election. A lot of those early vote sites will remain the same that you've seen in previous elections, but some of the changes will be we'll be moving out of the Rodeo Community Center, which has been a long time early vote site for us, but we'll be going to the Springdale Civic Center, which is a